How's everybody doing? It's Monday, April 12th, and you're tuned to 2.5 Hoopers, Chris Humphrey's favorite basketball podcast. I'm here with Josh.
Oh, the Kardashian guy. Hi, guys.
And I'm here with George.
Fun fact, he was married for a whole 72 hours to Kim Kardashian.
Another fun fact, Nick the Bulls fan is the best YouTuber that the world has ever seen. But we got a good show for you guys. Recap yesterday's a ball. George's halftime, as always, going to touch on that 96 draft documentary. Ended off, we're going to give our top 10 big men from this season because we don't want to separate power forwards and centers because the power forwards aren't that good.
Hopefully I don't front run this time.
I know you'll front run this time, but that's why we have you on here. Remember, if you like what you make sure to check our socials, Insta and Twitter at THHoopers. Drop a comment anywhere. You know the deal. Thanks for the support. Let's get right into those. So the boring games from Friday, April 9th. Pacers beat the Magic 111-106. Not a boring game upcoming, but not as important. Celtics beat the T-Wolves at OT 145-136 minute. Jason Tatum 53 bomb. Hawks beat the Bulls 120-108 despite Zach LaVine's 39 in the first half. Hornets beat the Bucks 127-119. Nuggets beat the Spurs 121-119, and Clippers beat the Rockets 126-109. First game we're going to deep dive in on is the 133-129 Knicks winning against the Grizzlies in OT. Grizzlies had a 12-point lead in the first, but Knicks slowly creep back into forced overtime and then effectively close out the game. Something we haven't seen much of. Quickly had a nice game with 20 off the bench, lead the Knicks, and Randall had another triple-double. What did you see in this one, George?
So I got to catch the overtime period and a little bit of the fourth quarter before that. They went to RJ Barrett a few times in the clutch, which has been a little bit different because it's usually Randall who has the ball at the end. So I kind of liked what they did there, and Barrett got a 2 to force overtime and then a go-ahead 3 late in overtime to kind of seal the deal there. So I kind of liked how they were going there, and like you stated, they haven't really been good in closing out games in the clutch. So hopefully, they're a young, mainly inexperienced team. Hopefully they can build something to try and get a good spot in the playoffs. I don't expect them to go that deep, but these things are important in a young team. So, yeah.
Josh.
Nobody wants to talk about RJ Barrett's massive improvement from the field goal percentage. He's averaging 5% higher than last year and 6% higher from 3 than from last year. He's up to about 39%. It's very impressive, and that's kind of what they need. I mean, Julius Randle kind of gets hammered, and we talk about his poor shot selection. So, I mean, why even risk it when you have a rising sophomore in RJ Barrett who's more than confident and capable of making big-time shots as we've seen over the course, but not to knock Randle too much. He had a triple-double, and I mean, despite the poor field goal percent shooting, is that a little bit concerning? Because I know he's been doing that recently, and I can't honestly tell if it's concerning because sometimes a lot of the shots seem to go unwavered, and then I'll look at the stats at the end of the game, and I'm like, oh, wow, he missed a lot more than I thought he did.
Well, he's their kind of go-to guy, and in a Tibbs offense, it's not a very complex offense when you're under Tom Thibodeau, and he doesn't get to shoot. He doesn't get the luxury of having an efficient game. Like RJ Barrett has the tools to have an efficient game, which by the last few weeks he's been efficient. But I mean, Alec Burks 5 for 15, D-Rose 8 for 17. Like it's just they have a few guys that are expected to shoot a bulk of the shots, and like when they're there, you just got to kind of take them. Unless George has a different take on it.
No, I agree with that. You're gonna have your select guys who are taking a certain allotment of shots per game, and the other guys kind of just have to be efficient in what they get.
George, what did you see on the Grizzlies side on this one?
Yeah, kind of a trend I've been noticing. He was 50% here, but Ja, not that much of like an underwhelming season, but you'd kind of hope in spurts because I've seen some takes where they were saying like JV has been their best player, and I'm not going to get into that, but he's kind of he shot 4 for 5 from 3, which is a little bit better, but at times it's kind of been alarming. They're just middle of the pack, and it sucks because they don't have their second best player, and they haven't had him all season. So you kind of have to temper your expectations. But
third best player according to Twitter.
Yes, thank you, Josh. But no, this is kind of what I expected out of Memphis. Nothing higher than like a 7 seed, and they're currently I think 9. So this is right where I expect them to be, and without Triple J, it's even more impressive.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of have to temper your expectations because they shouldn't even be here without JJJ. And you said they're a 9 seed. They're 8 seed right now, 1 game up on the Spurs, and I kind of feel like that's where they'll stay. I think they'll get a high play-in seed.
I agree.
Josh, anything to add here? One thing I will bring up is that the Knicks bench really came through. 58 points for just 3 players. Let me see which 3 players they were. Alec Burks, Mano Quickly, and D Rose. So 58 there, and then Obi Toppin in his 15 minutes a night gave him 6. So.
I don't really. The Grizzlies' rotation's a little depleted. They started Grayson Allen, who I really like defensively. He's more of a 3-and-D guy next to John Morant. I'd like to see Dylan Brooks kind of get back into that 2 position, but I know they're kind of short on bodies. But Brandon Clark, I harped on it earlier in the year. He's still been really disappointing. The energy kind of seems like lost from him. So I don't know what exactly their plan is, but they haven't even incorporated him in the starting lineup much. His minutes are depleting by the season, and we'll just have to see what they end up doing with that bench rotation.
For sure. Next one, Pelicans and Sixers linked up at Smoothie King Arena, and Zion led the Pelicans to the dub with 37 and 15 boards. Final 101-94. Sixers were fully healthy while New Orleans was missing Zoe and Hart, which makes this a really impressive W, which the Pelicans are used to giving us and disappointing us 2 nights later. But focusing on this game, Embiid was shut down pretty hard, going 5 for 16, and Ben Simmons only took 6 shots. What say you, Joshua?
Good game from Jackson Hayes. That's interesting, I guess, especially defensively. We've already kind of harped on the fact that the Sixers aren't going to win anything spectacular if Tobias Harris is leading the efficiency side of the offensive game. Seth Curry, goose egg, 0 of 7. So this was a game Philly could have easily won despite the good game from the Pelicans. They are missing the Fortnite guy and Lonzo Ball. So obviously not too many, honestly kind of a very disappointing loss when you look at all the numbers. This is definitely a game that was in their grasp for most of the period. And despite Joel Embiid shutting down, we've seen this Philly team be efficient without him. So I don't really think that can be used too much as an excuse. I think it's more on the bench side of it. Only 1 player above 10 points and Seth Curry with a goose egg. That's not what you expect. So very disappointing for Philly.
That's the problem I kind of saw is that no one really stepped up when Embiid was going to shut down. Tobias
Simmons got 5 steals though. So that pushes him in the defensive player. But beside that,
George, what did you see from this one?
I'm going to go on the other side of the ball because Josh basically got everything I would have said on the Sixers side. Point Zion, once again, 8 assists. It works. It works, and if you're not going to have Zoe, you might as well just run it. And they started a guy, I don't know, N. Marshall. I have no idea who that guy is. They
don't disrespect Najee.
I don't know how you
start not guarding Tobias Harris. We will disrespect him all night long.
But Zion he's just getting anything he wants at the rim against anybody, even if there's, you have a defensive player of the year and Ben Simmons on the court and then Joel in the middle. It's just
defensive player of the year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. Rudy Gobert's getting his 3rd, right, Josh?
Stop.
So yeah, it's just impressive to see he gets anything at will. And it was also interesting to see how Steven Adams, because I believe there was a game when they played the Nuggets, he also held it down against Jokic, which we kind of talk crap on Steven Adams, but in these big matchups, he's came through. Offensively, the fit isn't nice there, but on defense, he's held his own against the top guys in the league. So we have to give him his flowers there, and he's inked for 2 more seasons. So if they can get a little bit better, he could help their defensive identity, but. Just an impressive performance from Zion. That's what I'm going to take away.
Before we keep going, I just want to kind of disagree or put my stance on that. I don't think Steven Adams is a long-term answer for them just because I think it's just more the intimidation with the big guys, especially. It's like we see Steven Adams, he's like the strongest NBA player, and like it's kind of his rep. So when you play him in the regular season, especially in like throwaway games like these, it's like, oh, let's challenge him constantly. Like let's take every opportunity to like try to make him look weak. And I don't really see, and that's where he benefits because he is a strong player. But where this team is headed, especially the generational talent they have in Zion, I don't think that Steven Adams really pairs well with him in the paint, especially if Zion's not going to continue to further that 3. because we've seen him do practically everything else, and he gets anything he wants in the paint, and Steven Adams kind of like a traffic cone in his way.
I've said that I didn't like the fit, but they're tied into him, and that contract is really big. So I don't necessarily
it'll be hard to move him.
I don't necessarily know if there's going to be many suitors. So if they ended up, having to play him out defensively, it might end up being okay. I hate the offensive side of the fit. Lehman and I literally have talked about this over and over, beat a dead horse, but let's see what he has to say.
Well, so nothing. I didn't catch this one in full.
Okay.
I watched a lot of the highlights, and obviously social media is blowing up because Pelicans got this dub over the Sixers. But there's nothing in the stat sheet that would show Steven Adams contributed to this W whatsoever. Played less minutes than James Johnson, who is a guy that most coaches put on big men. I don't know if they're putting him on Embiid, but I think it's probably more Zion.
Jackson Hayes.
Jackson Hayes played 19. And then Steven Adams had the third most rebounds in the starting lineup. He only had 5. Zion had 15. This was just a bad Joel Embiid game. Only 9 boards, too, after getting shut out. Not shut out scoring-wise, but, like, shut down, essentially. But, I mean, yeah, I don't really agree. Maybe George is slipping his take on Steven Adams, but I still think there's not a whole lot he can contribute here.
I'm trying to alleviate the situation because we've talked all bad about it, and I gotta pump the brakes a little bit because
so now you have a
conscience. Good about Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
You'll see in my top centers the Rudy Gobert slander kind of.
He better be number one. Less than that here. Pelicans win the third quarter by 8 here, so that's kind of where they took over. Yeah, overall, put this one on Zion. That's it.
Definitely. Player spotlight.
Game of the night ending wise was Washington doing their best Reggie Miller impression and scoring 6 points in the last 6 seconds to beat the Warriors 110-107. Russ led them with 19, 14, and 14, while Curry had 32 in the L. Break down the last few plays of this game for me, George.
So, yeah, the Warriors were up 4. It was the last possession, I believe. I think Steph had just made a reverse layup on the other end.
They're up 3. It was 107-104.
Right. So they come down. Steph makes a reverse 3. They call timeout. They come down. Russ has an open 3, clanks it. Unfortunately for us,
he does that.
Josh isn't gonna say anything. And the ball, it kind of just caroms to like the sideline, and Beal's just running, takes the ball 1-2, fades out. Wiggins hits him on the head and 1. He makes it. Obviously, he hits the free throw. And then the Warriors come down and draw up a play for none other than Damian Lee. Steph, so they try to do a dribble handoff with Draymond, and Steph comes around, and with the gravity, Damian Lee gets the ball, and he's going up. He has like a wide open lane, goes up, tries to go up over Denny, and he kind of he got scared. He just shit his pants, basically.
He freaked out.
Basically.
It was you when we said Middleton's at 7.
And he just turns the ball over, and that's the game. So a lot of Warriors fans were like, why don't you go to Steph in that situation? He was open. It was a good play, but I mean, you kind of live or die with Steph taking a shot in that situation.
Josh, what did you take from the not just George swearing, but that game as a whole?
James Wiseman got over 20 minutes, and he missed 2 shots. 2. They should have won this game. I'm so upset. I don't understand why they did. This sucks. This is so dumb. I was gonna have a whole big thing like, oh, George, Kelly Oubre played great. I don't know why. And this kind of like where the thing started, where they're like, oh, Kelly Oubre should come off the bench. I mean, every time somebody slanders Kelly Oubre, he just plays good. And Curry got more than enough help today. Only one player, that was Draymond. We're all in double digits, and Draymond never scores over double digits. So this is a game they should have won. This is not a great team. The Wizards honestly got lucky. And again,
Mickey Mouse victory.
horrible play call by Steve Kerr at the end of the game. That's Steph Curry. I would give Steph Curry the ball at half court and say, figure it out. That would be a better play call than what
it's
Steve
like.
Kerr
It's
did.
like that
Another
TikTok you sent where it's like Tyronn Lue, Kawhi, basket, and then Steph basket.
Except on the actual play chart, it has 30 on the jersey. That's it. That's the only difference. I don't know why
it's got like a big smiley face.
Big smiley face and like the dreads he was rocking like early last year. I cannot believe they lost this game. They played a pretty good game, honestly, and yeah, it just sucks.
Well, I want to give a little love to the Wizards, and it won't just be Russell Westbrook. One, that Beal shot reminded me a lot of the Curry shot in 2015 against the Pelicans.
Yeah,
it reminded me a lot of that one. Missed rebound, stuff like that. But Hachimura has been playing really well lately. He had 32 in the game before this. He had 22 in this one to lead them in scoring. Over 50% in both of them. Not a big playmaker with 1 assist, but he's also pretty solid on defense.
Russ finds him. I mean, that's a big thing. Like Russ is really like. I know, George. It's crazy that I'm complimenting Russ. But
No,
Russ
I'm not even looking at you. I'm looking at this box.
Oh,
yeah. You didn't mention Robin Lopez.
20 and 8.
Robin
Russ
Lopez
does a very good
was
job finding the nobodies.
feasting on this Golden State Warriors team.
Oh, yeah.
He was killing them. He looked like Hakeem Olajuwon. He had 3 feet-work moves where he did the dream shake. It was insane. We lost George. Why is he looking like that? But yeah, there he is. But he was going crazy on Robin Lopez. But Josh, what were you gonna say?
No, it just every time they take Wiseman out, they don't have a center. So teams like it's.
Goose egg from Kevon Looney, my least favorite player.
I don't like Steve Kerr. He needs to go. The worst coach in the NBA, Steve Kerr.
No, that's Luke Walton. George, anything else to add? Alex Len at 15? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because the lack of Warriors big man has kind of just been getting exposed lately. And now they're going to be down even more horrendous. We'll get into that later.
I want to end it here, but what position is Denny, George?
He's a forward, so 3 or 4 basically.
They played him at the 4, and he didn't play well.
He's a 3 or a 4.
I thought he was a
secondary playmaker.
Okay,
he's supposed to be like the Luka Doncic, where he starts at power or small forward and moves to point guard. But Russell Westbrook appears to have the point guard position locked. So
I would think so.
That court is locked. So
yeah.
Unfortunately, but yeah, pretty slow game there. Moving on to Saturday, April 10th. Sixers beat the Thunder 117-93. So bounce back. Jazz beat the Kings 128-112. Warriors beat the Rockets 125-109. Suns beat the Wizards 134-106. And Blazers beat the Pistons 118-103. I'm going to keep it a buck with you guys. Not a great Saturday here, but a few talking points. Starting with the Raps beat the Cavs 135-115. I want to talk big picture here as we have Gary Trent and we have Josh Rhodes. Gary Trent has since the trade, he's had a lot of good talking points here. Bozo beat a game winner, registered the highest plus minus ever for Raptor, and then scored 44 points in this game here against the Cavs. He had a quote the other night about finally feeling wanted and needed for the first time in his career. What do you guys think about so I'll get the quote, kind of reaction from Josh, because Josh is Gary Trent. And then also, what do you think about his future with the Raps and the Raps' immediate future playing for this play-in, because they're about a game back from the Bulls. So, Josh, let me get your reaction from that quote first.
Shut up, man. I feel wanted. Yeah, they really needed you when you went 1 of 9 every single game in the bubble. Like, come on. That's so dumb. That's such a stupid low blow shot just because you got traded and because you weren't performing. Like, I hate that. I don't understand why he did that in the slightest. But I will admit that he's been playing phenomenally. He's kind of making me eat my words. However, I still do think he has inconsistencies. Thursday night, he had like a 2 of 14 game. Yeah. And I think that trend's still continuing despite a phenomenal beginning to Toronto. They're kind of letting him play the Norman Powell role, except with defense, and he's done a good job. He's had the ball a lot in his hands, and Kyle Lowry's kind of taken a backseat. He didn't play today, and no Spicy P, so I kind of attribute the amount of points he scored kind of more to that and the Cavs defense rather than Gary Trent. But with Toronto, they're in such an uncomfortable position because with the core that they have right now, there's a lot of doubt that they can do anything with that, but they're so locked into the contracts that they have. It's really hard for them to make any adjustable moves. Like the one guy that they don't have for next year, they traded away. So I don't know what they're really trying to do. Maybe it's kind of like a feel around year, and then they'll do some tweaking next year and see how that goes. But Lowry's aging. I mean, Pascal's kind of been a disappointment. It's just started from the bubble and it hasn't gotten any better. OG's look good, but he doesn't look like anything super special like we were talking about he could be in the bubble. And Gary Trent, I mean, he's not going to do anything crazy. He played phenomenal in the regular season last year. Bubble hit, dead. And it could be the same thing. So the inconsistencies there. Nick Nurse is a phenomenal coach, but with this core, I don't think they can do anything, honestly. They might have to blow it up, in all honesty.
Well, I'll give my 2 cents and load up to George. I think you're forgetting like what this core can really be capable of is the East for one. And then Pascal and Fred VanVleet do have all-star potential. Freddie V is one of the best 2 guards in the league. Not a deep position, but one of the best 2 guards in the league. And then Pascal should bounce back next year, even though he's had a horrible year here. And then just to end it off, they are playing in Tampa. They're not with their families. Like they had to move out of their homes, and they're staying. I think they're staying in hotels the whole year, which does start to wear on you when you think of that, like the human aspect. Yeah. But for the most part, I kind of agree with you. They're kind of locked into this core, but I think I believe in it a little more than you do. George, take us home here. What do you think?
So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of gonna disagree with Josh here. His scoring numbers are up, especially with Toronto. He averaged 9 last year, and he's averaging 18 so far with Toronto. He hasn't even had a full season under his belt. Last season got cut short. This is a shorter season.
Well, and he's also played like 6 games, George. You can't really just throw the average in there like that. That's such a small sample size.
Well, fine.
Well, you're saying he's not shooting well, but he shot 17 for 19 in this game.
Well, so, no, he's been inconsistent.
Speaking in absolutes.
I think he's definitely a 20-point capable scorer, and for giving up an expiring contract in Powell and getting back a younger guy on a cheaper deal that you can, groom how you want him to become maybe a potential 3-and-D lockdown player. I mean, I love the move, and yeah, this season for Tampa, Toronto, they're playing in Tampa, but it's just been a lot has been thrown at them, and I don't think you can really take much away from it. But for next season, I think they should just, run it back with what they have. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Lowry, though. They didn't move him at the deadline. He's aging. He's hurt. He's, in and out of lineups right now. Do you want to try and get max value from now, or just let him retire after? And at that point, I don't know how much he can contribute to. I think
he has a few more years left in him, so I think it'll be a sign and trade if I had to guess.
Which would probably be less value. But, yeah.
I would like to stay just to continue the Gary Trent slander.
Let's hear it.
Since they've gotten him, I believe it was Portland. So they lost Portland, Detroit, Oklahoma. So we won't go over that game. The games that they've won have been to the Warriors, the Wizards, and the Cavs.
Are you blaming Gary Trent for losing?
I'm not. I'm just saying that the opponents that they've been playing aren't too special. I'd like to see them moving because they have some pretty good games coming up. So they got the Spurs. They got a back-to-back with the New York teams, Brooklyn and New York, and then they get Brooklyn and Denver. So I would really like to see him play some higher competition.
Well, I'll put this right here. Gary Trent's not an all-star by any means.
No, he's not. But
right now he has the greenest light you've ever. I'm watching highlights. He just stands at half court with his hands like this, and he's like, "Give me the ball."
They give it to him.
That's why I'm not crazy about Gary Trent. I just don't like how you hate the guy because he is a bucket.
I don't hate him. It's just I don't like his inconsistencies. And then he goes and says something like, "Oh, I'm finally needed." Like what? Portland was sitting him on the bench. Like, come on, man, really?
Well, I hope we don't have to argue about Gary Trent the next few weeks because he will not be playing good against the Denver Nuggets and the Brooklyn Nets. I'll say that right now. He will not be playing very good. Speaking of the Brooklyn Nets, only other real game we could talk about here Saturday night was Lakers C team playing the Nets B team in a matchup a lot of people predict will happen in the finals. And Lakers win this one easily, 126-101. Schroeder and Kyrie rejected pretty early after the halftime break for trash talking, which is a whole other topic. But
we can't even get into that.
After that, Lakers went on a run to win the third quarter, 31-19. League's best defense taking on league's best offense. What say you guys, or what say George?
Lakers reporter. So I'm going to try and make this as simple and as quick as possible. But so Drummond had a very, very dominant game. I mean, he was getting anything you want in the paint. And we've kind of been saying that's Brooklyn's biggest flaw, their interior defense. And Drummond just sliced up Aldridge and whoever else was in there. It was kind of just whoever offense. So that'll be interesting to see going forward as they're in a conference with Giannis and Joel Embiid. But Lakers shot very, very well in this game. Ben McLemore had a great second game. All around, the playmaking, the defense. I mean, it hasn't missed a beat at all since LeBron and AD have gone out, which doesn't make sense that, two capable all-NBA defenders go out and you're still playing, the best defense in the league. Brooklyn side, no Harden, obviously. Kyrie gets ejected early, and KD's still coming back from his hammy injury. So you can't. I mean, I don't even know if I can say you can't take much from it because the Lakers were down 6-7 players, but their role players really, really struggled in this. Blake Griffin didn't make a field goal. Aldridge struggled. Joe Harris didn't have a Joe Harris type game, so they just played poor, and the Lakers took advantage. And I believe Steve Nash just said they came out strong and they wanted it more. That's basically all that wrote it.
Whew. All right. Well, I don't smell any crumbs. I don't see any crumbs. But Josh, how much weight do you put into this game?
Not a lot, because Kyrie Irving came out looking like Uncle Drew, and I thought he was entering like an acting tryout, but not too much. From both sides. No way the Lakers C team is going to play the same game that they did. This is like,
the same minutes,
like the same tradition, like where the Lakers always beat the Dynasty Warriors once a year. It's like that. It's the same thing. But like, I don't like how people are like complaining, like, oh, one side had it worse than the other. Like, both sides aren't fully healthy. So, I mean, this is a nice preview, and it shows that both teams are capable of winning the game, but the real challenge will be when both teams are fully healthy.
Agreed.
Well, so Chris Broussard said the Nets are an embarrassment of riches, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But like every
Chris Broussard has been begging for a LeBron James phone call for the last decade.
It seems like every contender you can make a case for the deepest in the league. So I have the Clippers, yours just the Nets, and you got guys like I'm a Laker fan, so I know him, but Alfonso McKinney playing 26 minutes here, 9 boards.
Almost double.
I think half of them were offensive. Just watching, there was a lot of extra possessions there, and then Ben McLemore, who the Lakers signed 2 games ago, 17 points,
flamethrower,
staring down the same dude on the sideline every single 3 he made, like. It was just very impressive win for Lakers. And then, for the Nets, only thing I took away, because, I mean, Kyrie, like you said, Uncle Drew, 18 points and 20 minutes before he got ejected. KD didn't shoot well, but, I mean, he's KD. Yeah, he's going to show up. And one real thing I took away, though, this is the LaMarcus Aldridge I thought was still there. Because they were like, oh, he's changed on defense. That dude cannot move his feet. He is stationary.
I like how he said, I'm going to go watch the film on this. I'm like, no film is going to help you guard a 280-pound, 6'11" center.
Like, because I was thinking, like, oh, he's playing good. And, like, my thoughts on Drummond. Like,
Drummond was abusing him.
Yeah, I didn't go as far to call him a space eater, but I was like, he'll be fine. He was cooking LaMarcus Aldridge. It was 1-2 dribble, not even an off arm. He was just too big. Put the little too small thing on him. It was great. But yeah, that's the main thing I took away from here. What was you already broke down the game, George. What would you take away the most from this game?
That the Lakers shooting and offense will be fine come the postseason, because that's been their biggest doubt so far. The defense has been elite all season. I think this offense will be fine, as we've seen.
We did not get Kentavious Caldwell-Pope this game. Back-to-back good games from KCP. So.
Ankle guy.
Fingers
crossed.
Music. LeBron James put his own ankle monitor on KCP.
Oh, but yeah, that Saturday was it was. I think we made the most of it, but Sunday was pretty good at making up for it. We'll get these ones out of the way. Sunday, April 11th, Hawks beat the Hornets 105-101. Pelicans beat the Cavs 116-109. Bucks beat the Magic 124-87. Holy hell! Wow. Pacers beat the Grizzlies 132-125. Clippers beat the Pistons 131-124. And Heat beat the Blazers 107-98. First game we're going to touch on here, Celtics beating the Nuggets 105-87. And be thinking, it's an 18-point game. Why touch on it? Celtics ended this game on a 40-8 run and had only 5 players scoring double figures, led by Tatum, who only was 53 with 28 here. Nuggets melt down the fourth with no Jamal Murray. You could either tie that directly to him being a point guard or something else. So, Josh, let me hear about this one.
No Jamal Murray, but Kemba Walker under 50% once again. Just would like to say that Jason Tatum is playing out of his mind. We talked about
he is
53, and then he had a double with 28 and 10. He led all scorers from all teams. He is really becoming the guy. And I know there were doubts about who's been the best player this season, I don't think there's a doubt now. Jason Tatum is the number one. He will be the number one for a long period of time as long as they keep him happy. I thought it was Celtics versus semifinal bubble Clippers in the fourth quarter. It was kind of bad. The Nuggets just fully melted down. But honestly, I don't think this is big of a red flag as people might think, because this happens with a lot of teams. They just melt down. They're lucky that it was just a quarter and not a whole game where we can discuss that. But we'll have to see how they do coming in, because the Nuggets have been playing great basketball for a good stretch of time, or since their beginning struggles. So I don't bring too much attention to it, but very good win for Boston and very good assertion weekend for Jason Tatum.
George.
Yeah, just to keep it quick, they shot 23% from three. That's not going to get it done. It was just they just went rather cold, rather quick. MPJ 1 for 12 from three. And this was their first game they lost since the AG trade, so I think they were just bound to have a stinker after winning 6-7 in a row. So no worries here from Denver.
Well, one where I kind of saw is Jokic looked like he was trying to do way too much, because I don't consider Jamal Murray a point guard. I mean, Campazzo is more of a pure point guard than Jamal Murray, but they looked lost out there without Murray. And Jokic looked like he was trying to do way too much. Just in the post, there's 10 seconds left, shoot. Putting up shots just because he thinks he's going to get the whistle. He doesn't end up getting it. But, yeah, for Boston, they just look like they're playing like more of a team. Kemba gets an and one. They're all excited and stuff. Like, they just seem to be more happy. But, yeah, other than that, I mean, one thing I will, because I watched a lot of this game, Grant Williams makes me realize how much of like an anomaly Zion Williamson is, because they're built the same.
Yeah, they're built the same, but
they're built the same.
Is not
Zion is just much more, like, it made me appreciate Zion a little more. But yeah, they're both built pretty hefty. But moving on, Knicks and Raptors played in my look at and didn't disappoint, ending in a 102-96 Knicks W. It was a back and forth fourth quarter until RJ Barrett hit a corner three to put the Knicks up 4 with 30 seconds left. One thing to note here, Knicks ended the game with Alec Burks at point guard, kind of a position we've kind of labeled as, a key part for New York. What did you guys see here?
Georgie, would you like to take this one?
Sure, I'll go quick. Spicy P had a meltdown in the fourth, and Knicks close out another game in the clutch. That's good for them moving forward.
Oh, Josh, it's your time.
Kyle Lowry still looks like he's trying, but I don't know what he's trying for. that's
playing spot.
Yeah, but like, how far are they really gonna go? Like, let's be honest here. Like,
they should buy him out.
Like, Toronto, great.
Toronto,
great. I don't think they're gonna repeat the performance that they had against Philly or Brooklyn. Like, that's not, like, we talked about how they went on that like doubleheader and they beat Philly back to back. I think Joel Embiid scores 50 on whoever they put on him in the playoffs.
You just don't want to see Gary Trent Jr. in the playoffs, do you?
I'm fine with Ben Simmons guarding him. The defensive player of the year, Ben Simmons guarding him. That's okay.
No.
Like, I mean, good win for the Knicks. They close it out. And Lehman, you made a good point before this that they started Alec Burks. They've been kind of looking for the last piece that they need, like a playmaker at the end of the game. If it works, it works. Alec Burks isn't really a name you think of, but hey, they put him in there and it worked.
He's also not a playmaker you would think of. He's a playmaker as far as scoring, but like assist-wise, he wasn't like – he's not a name you think of.
He ain't no floor general.
He only had 2 assists in this one, went 2 for 9, but he's kind of putting everyone where they're supposed to be, which, I mean, it's against the Raptors, and you got Julius Randle, so Julius Randle is basically your de facto point guard. Kind of kicks the RJ Barrett for that 3. But yeah, overall, just want to highlight a good weekend from the Knicks. Also, is my look ahead, so I figured I'd touch on it. Spurs and Mavs played in a Texas matchup important for the play-in standings, and the Spurs won by the hairs on the Chinny Chin Chin, final 121-119. The Spurs are no stranger to close games this season. That experience showed on the stretch where they put the Mavs away with a DeMar DeRozan game winner with 0.5 seconds left. What did you guys see here, George?
This had big play-in implications. Mavs are currently 7th, and Spurs were at 9th. Spurs keep themselves a game above the Warriors, and the Mavs are further back from being in the top 6. But what I noticed, DeMar DeRozan had an incredible game. I mean, he's just incredible footwork. He's your guy, and he showed it today. But the end of the game, too, DeJounte Murray had a great game as well. Very, very efficient. And, yeah, they needed this one, and they got it.
Greg Popovich getting DeMar DeRozan to play team-efficient basketball is probably more impressive than any championship he's ever won. But Josh, touch on this.
DeJounte Murray has a very good case for all NBA defensive second team. I think the top two for the guards are locked for first team, but he's had a very sneakily good defensive year, and it kind of showed. We're not going to get into.
But who's your second guy? It's Ben and who else?
Ben and Drew Holiday. Yeah, Drew Holiday's. I think he's.
Leaving. You got caught lacking.
That's a different conversation.
They just don't like him.
I'm just gonna ramp on kind of what we've been talking about with Dallas. Is just the lack of help for the two guys. Like it seems like they need that third guy to show up. Josh Richardson had 16, but they didn't really get anything from anybody else. Jalen Brunson, my guy, struggled from the field. He missed 11 shots, so that's not really what they've been expecting off the bench. They just need more help. If they're going to win games, it's going to be offensively, and unfortunately, that's not what they're doing.
Anything else to add here, George?
No, sir.
Looking pretty. Porzingis had a good game, 31-15. But I mean, it seems like these teams are both going to be in the play-in. I don't see the Mavs catching the Blazers. But anything can happen. Final game that we're going to touch on here. Bulls dropped another one to go 0-2 on the weekend. This one was to the Timberwolves. D'Lo continues to put up buckets off the bench with 27 in this one, while Levine had 30 on inefficient shooting. I just want to get straight to the point here. What's the blame for the Bulls still fighting for a play-in spot despite being everyone's real winner of the trade deadline? Josh.
Defense. That's it. That's honestly it.
Honestly, I mean, I agree, George. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, Vooch, we kind of said how we thought it would be an upgrade just because he's a bigger body and Wendell was a smaller center. But I mean, in the pick and roll, especially, they're getting hurt on defense. So that's the biggest concern. I don't know with such a short time left in the season if they can really get this fixed.
I mean, so Raps are right on them. They're a game back from the Bulls. I'm not going to look at schedules and stuff because I don't have time to do it. I got a show to run. But, I mean, they're basically tied. And, I mean, we haven't seen a whole lot from, Vooch as far as, like, defense-wise. And it's hard to watch him in the pick and roll. It really is. Yeah. They're just hunting him. And I didn't think about, like, they didn't need more offense when they traded for him. Which was like, they got Vooch for pennies on the dollar. But, like, we'll have to see how good he fits as far as, especially this quick turnaround as far as trading for him at the deadline. Pat Williams, donut, but played good defense. And then, for Minnesota, D'Lo is looking solid. I think we started talking about, who's going to be who are the three they're going to keep. And I think it's obviously D'Lo and Cat and Anthony Edwards. I think Malik Beasley will be the odd man out, especially because they had Jaden McDaniels and Edwards struggle. Because those are the young guys, and the kind of veterans of the team had to step up in D'Lo and Cat. But anything to add as far as D'Lo and Cat's chemistry?
I mean, I honestly think D'Lo and Beasley are the odd ones out. If Cade Cunningham is walking through that door, D'Lo is expendable. So that's all I'm going to say.
The guy that couldn't make it to the Sweet 16. The Sweet 16?
Cat's best friend.
He played against a Oregon State team who was from the Conference of Champions.
Who wasn't even supposed to be
Oregon State almost got to the Final Four. Relax.
Why can't they just draft a big man to pair with Cat?
They don't need Evan Mobley.
They should trade down.
I would like that.
They should do that, and then they
might even have their pick yet this year. Actually,
that's true.
They keep winning.
No, they should trade down, and I think like a Jonathan Kuminga would be really good.
We were talking about that player. Actually on the podcast here.
I think he's a good player. Going back to the schedule thing. So both teams kind of have a rough schedule. Chicago plays Memphis twice. They get a couple freebies with Orlando and Cleveland twice, but then they have Boston. They have Charlotte, Miami twice, New York, Milwaukee, and then a bunch of other really good teams to round out their season. So
it's the East. It's bottom of the East.
Well, no, it's East, but also they're playing some teams desperate to fight. Miami come.
They play Miami back to back.
Yeah, Miami come May,
Miami, Boston, and Hornets are all looking for better playoff spots.
Toronto also has some pretty hard ones, but it looks like when they do play those, it'll be kind of restricted minutes for the starters. Like they play Utah, they play the Clippers twice, and the Lakers. But I'm presuming that the starters will probably be taking. Is it
like late into May?
One of the Jazz game is early, but one of the Clippers one is late. The Lakers one's kind of late, so
Okay.
Depends when
Mavericks
he
is
comes
also
back.
late. So
So I've kind of given up my my Wizards kind of fanfic where they make the play in. So it's kind of between Toronto and Chicago. Who do you guys have?
I'll take
Give me
Chicago.
Chicago. Oh,
Guess you know.
Lehman versus the world.
I'm going Washington. Actually,
He pulled the wild card.
They're gonna leapfrog Toronto.
2 minutes ago. I'm out of my
They're a
fanfic
game behind
with
in
Washington.
my
They're a game behind Toronto, and Toronto's a game behind Chicago. So that's a grand total of 2 games out of the play-in spot. You got to carry the one, George.
The last 10 from the 10 to 15 is either 3-7 or 4-6. The bottom of the East is so bad.
No one wants that last spot. Same
Nobody
with
wants Joel.
we talk about that. The Pelicans 5-5, Golden State 3-7, Sacramento 4-6. No one wants the 10 spot. No one. No one wants it in either conference. But yeah, that was the recap. Now it's time for everyone's favorite segment. I'm surprised you made it this far, but if you did, we got a treat. It's the halftime segment. George Martin with the halftime segment. Halftime segment for 2 reasons. Halfway through the show, George is the half hooper. Bring it on, George.
So unfortunately, the Warriors face another setback in a nightmare season for them with injuries. James Wiseman suffered a torn meniscus to his right knee, and he's feared to be out the rest of the season. Basically, I'm going to leave this more of a future-looking question. Because the Warriors next season are going to have another year where Curry is, who knows how many years he has left in his prime, do we expect the Warriors to keep Wiseman and try another year of this? We're going to try and develop and contend, or is he gone? So let's see what you have to hear, Lehman.
So Clay will be back next season, hopefully. And I don't think Clay's the type of player that will miss a beat as far. He just shoots him. His defense might take a step back, but he's very fundamentally sound on defense. So he should be this relatively the same Clay we're used to. So yeah, they'll be in win now mode, but I don't see a way you can justify trading Wiseman because the old saying, a draft pick is like a car. You drive it up the lot, it loses value. And Wiseman has lost a whole lot of value. They would be robbery if someone traded for Wiseman because there's no way he has any ceiling lower than Rudy Gobert. He's like 7-1. With right coaching, he'll be good. He's 7-1 in his basketball. So I really don't think they should entertain offers unless they get something they deem fair. But yeah, it really sucks they lost him.
Josh.
Well, with Steve Kerr, like a bag of chips for James Wiseman is fair. I saw a thing where they're saying James Wiseman would probably be putting up Rookie of the Year numbers on a bad team, and I kind of agree. The big issue is just if he can grow with the players, and again, my harp on Steve Kerr, he's not allowing them the minutes to do that.
Exactly.
Steph Curry is also one of those players I agree with Lehman, where it's like, as long as his arms don't break and he can run up and down the court, his skill set isn't really required to have his prime isn't going to decrease. Like, I don't think aging is going to hurt him as much as
like
other
fine
players.
wine.
Yeah, I don't think he ages that good. But we saw like Steve Nash. Like, it's kind of like the same. They're practically the same player, same build. I think it kind of ends up like that. I think they, like Lehman said, I think they should absolutely keep him because his value's gone down. But trading it would just be a loss for them. I think he has so much potential, and I just think he needs proper coaching, which is why they should fire Steve Kerr in the future and find a new identity. That's just the way I would do it. But
okay, George, what do you think about firing Steve Kerr? This is the second time he's mentioned in this pod. Josh wants to have an open dialogue.
Outlandish. That's outlandish. No, not yet. It would have to be at least 2 to 3 more seasons of this.
When Steph Curry doesn't know how to play basketball.
When Steph Curry goes to the Lakers, that's when we're gonna.
No, it's more of okay. If you can't get us, a top 4 seed with prime Steph Curry and a hopefully competent roster next year, that's when you start looking. Firing
top 4,
top 6. At least not a plan. No more plans.
Actually, I mean, you make a point. Like it is
it's
Steph Curry.
Prime Steph Curry.
Is Steph Curry's career kind of Mickey Mouse at this point? I mean, you said if you couldn't get a top 6 seed, that the Russ season will be 10 times. Russ will be better than Steph Curry because Russ did that in his MVP season.
I
have the tape. I have the tape.
Moving on. So they dropped the 1996 draft documentary earlier tonight, and that got us thinking. We wanted to drop our top 5 NBA drafts ever.
Why was everyone so they took John Wallace? Why was it bustling? They took John Wallace and the whole crowd was losing it.
I'll go first. I'm gonna read mine.
God, he volunteered himself.
I'm gonna read mine, and then we'll go around and debate after. So I assume the top three is pretty unanimous here. Maybe the order's switched a little bit. I have 1984 at 1. I have 1996 at 2, 2003 at 3, 2009 at 4, and 2011 at 5. Lehman.
So yeah, me and you, I know for sure our
Top three.
Top three are the same. Same order too, 84, 96, 03. Now I got 85, and I have 99. And then once we get Josh's, we can deep dive onto why. Josh, what's your top three and order?
So I have a little bit of a different top three. I have 1996 at 1, 1984 2, 03 at 3. I have 99 at 4, and I have 2009 at 5.
Okay.
So where do we want to go from here?
You two talk. I gotta grab my phone because I have all the players from that draft. So you two talk a little bit. Where do you want to attack them, George?
Since we have a different 1 and 2. Okay, he already left. So just give me your reasoning for 96 over 84, and then we'll go back and forth.
I think an 84 has higher players, like top peak, because they got obviously Mike Hakeem, Charles Barkley. But I'm looking at the 96 draft. I think it's a little bit deeper, especially if you go into the later of the first round. Jermaine O'Neal, Steve Nash, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, shout out Lehman. They got Derek Fisher. I think it's just a wee bit deeper than the 84. Both drafts are phenomenal, but I think if you look at it, there's more notable role players and starters at the back end of the 96 draft.
So I'll definitely give it to you. It is probably a little bit deeper or more complete maybe, but I just think like what you said with the peaks and just the top of the top, MJ, Hakeem, Chuck, and John Stockton as well. And I mean, just that top, like those three of those guys won 8 titles combined. Well, actually 2 of them, MJ and Hakeem, because MJ got 6. Chuck, I mean, he was one of the most dominant guys ever for his height and his position. And you have
mound of a rebound.
You have so many guys who are top 50 guys, and so many 2 are top 10 for sure. So I think
sure?
Hakeem ain't top 10. I guess that's another debate.
He's in mine. He's in
mine too.
He's in mine.
Okay, so 2 of the top 10.
Never mind.
So I think where we are different at, but it's fine. Is I value the more like the peaks and how they have like 2, 3, 4 really like really strong cases, and then you have a more once you get past like the AIs, the Kobe's, the Rays, then you have guys you were saying Fishers, even Antoine Walker. Like it's more deep.
Peja Stojakovic.
Peja too. So I get where you're coming from. I think Lieb and I just value that the top of the top are some of the best ever that could be in a draft class.
I also would like to say that having Sam Bowie number 2 is kind of hurts their case, because Marcus Camby's 2, Abdul Rahim is 3, and Marbury's 4. Those are all names that at one point or another in their career were potential all-stars.
That's Portland's fault. That's not my fault.
I will say just my 2 cents here, and then we'll debate a different one. I actually do kind of take into consideration. I like the deeper classes more. I like when you get the 32nd pick made 3 all-star teams. That's
the
sick.
Manu Ginobili's.
Or the Derek Fishers like for your draft, but it's just hard to ignore Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon in your top 3.
Oh, yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
So I have 85-4.
Okay.
And Josh, I know me and George have 2 different ones. Do you agree with me as far as 85 in the top 5, Josh?
No, I did not.
So I'm the only one with 85.
Yeah, my reason for that being is that it's the top guys and then straight nobodies. Like that one's kind of lopsided. Same with the Scottie Pippen draft, the 1987 one. It's top and like nobodies.
Well, I mean, in the 85 draft, they got Karl Malone and Patrick Ewing, which I'm assuming you mean the top. And then, do you have anyone else, or the rest nobodies?
No, I have Joe Dumars and Oakley and Mullen, and that's it.
What about Detlef Schrempf? He is
Detlef.
I mean, he's not a nobody. I guess he can get put in the same category.
I mean, he has more win shares than Carmelo Anthony. ESPN stat, but I'm looking at it. So he is an important player.
But like, you're looking at these years. Half of the first round picks in the 85 played less than 5 seasons. I'm pretty
I
sure.
believe
Or
the 85
less than
draft
eight,
had like
less than 8.
16 rounds.
Well, I'm talking about the first round.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant half in the
So
draft.
in the first
Okay.
round, like half of the guys are playing less than 7 or 8 seasons. So
Okay.
they're fizzing out.
So you're sticking with the narrative that you like the non-top heavy drafts.
Yeah, I like except the 2009 one, but that's just because one of the players literally changed the game of basketball as we know it, and the other one is one of my favorite players. So
I will say though, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3. So there's 8 real players in the 85 draft, and then I'll kind of give it to you. Yeah, it drops off a little bit. You forgot guys like Terry Porter and stuff like that, players who really
AC
stuck around
Green
for a while.
also.
AC Green as well, Iron Man. George, where do you stand on 85? Or do you want to bring us in a different direction?
Yeah, let's bring it into a different direction. So I have 09 and 11 rounding out the last two. I believe, did all of us have 09? I know.
No, I have 09.
I had 99.
So no one had 09 or 11 at all.
I have 09 at 5.
Okay.
I was thinking about it.
All right. So should I just give my thought process?
Tell me on the 09 one, because that and 99 I was debating.
So 09 is kind of similar to I'm not going to say kind of similar to 84 because 84 is the best ever. But at the top, you have Steph Curry, James Harden, and Blake Griffin. Curry and Harden, 2 of the best scorers ever, arguably. Well, I'm not gonna go there for Harden, but Steph is a top 15 player ever. Josh, you can think Harden is wherever he wants if he gets a ring this year. Blake Griffin won Rookie of the Year. You have guys like DeMar, Lehman's favorite player. Drew Holiday is an All-NBA guy. Ricky Rubio, Danny Green, who have been solid NBA vets, and Danny Green is a 3-time champion. And I just felt that with like Steph and Harden, these are 2 like transcendent talents, and that's not that common in these drafts. And you got 2 of them, and Harden has 34-point season. Curry has a unanimous MVP.
36.
36. Sorry. And just factoring that into it, and Blake had, he was a superstar until he unfortunately got injured. And I just felt that top of the class was very, very strong in terms of the other ones I was comparing them to.
So I guess, this is really the one where my narrative when I'm like, oh, I like deeper draft class. This is a deep draft class. So
yeah,
there's no, I think Sean Marion has the most All-Star appearances this draft. This one.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm I'm gonna George. I'm gonna read the top 10 from the 99. How many of these players do you know? Ready? Elton Brand, Steve Francis, Baron Davis, Lamar Odom, Jonathan Bender, Wally Zerbiak, Rip Hamilton, Andre Miller, Sean Marion, Jason Terry.
Okay, 9. I know 9.
Yeah. That I think that just shows in the 2011 draft, Jan Vesely, Bismack Biyombo,
he knows these because he's George.
Yeah, he knows. Because
CEO of the 2000s.
All my homies love Jan Vesely.
No, but the 99 draft just has like so many. They don't have any like super standouts.
You know who went in the 2009 draft? Hashim the Dream Thabit.
I don't know why they picked that. That's for another day. I have.
Oh no! I forgot Johnny Flynn was taking over Steph. Oh.
Yeah, just to Josh kind of hit. I mean, that was a great point to make. But then you got guys like Ron Artest, who went a little later, and then Lamar Odom, Jason Terry, AK-47.
Yes, sir. I think it's just a bit of a deeper class.
Yeah. So I think we hit everything on the head there. Pretty solid. Yeah. It was a lot harder than I thought it'd be to do, because I was looking at me nice. I was like, because you start thinking, I'm like, I know a lot more of these players because obviously they were drafted when I was watching the NBA. But then I look at it, I'm like, oh, this guy had 4 All-Star teams. His name's Wally Zerbiak. Although I knew who Wally Zerbiak was, obviously, who doesn't?
Not All-Star Wally Zerbiak.
But good segment there. Anything else from the halftime report, George?
Nope, that's all for today.
Had to cut it short. Respect, but you always put your blood, sweat, and tears in this. So I once again thank you. But we're gonna end it off here with the top 10 big men this season. This was a doozy. So you can only pick 10, hence the name top 10. Josh, you struggled the most with this. So start us off.
Me? Oh my god.
Go top 5 first, and then we'll talk about that.
So my 5 is Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, Bam, Zion. That's my 5.
Okay, George.
Similar top 3. I have Jokic, Embiid, Giannis. Gobert at 4. And
Oh
AD
my
at
God.
5.
Hey, Disney.
You got AD?
5.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lehman.
I got Jokic 1,
Okay.
Joel Embiid 2,
Yeah.
Giannis 3, Zion 4, Randall 5.
I was gonna put Zion at 4, but I didn't.
Wow.
I put him somewhere else.
Okay.
So
You want to go
anything-
bottom?
should we stay
I think-
organized here? And
I
stay
think
top 5,
no. I
or-
think the thing is the 4 through 7 is kind of like the big harp, because the only thing we can really talk about is the only reason I have Embiid 1 is because he's like my MVP front runner.
Mhm.
So I guess we can keep going and then.
I mean, yeah, we could keep going. I'll start. We'll go serpentine. So we'll go me, George, Josh. Gobert at 6. Sabonis at 7. Bam at 8. Cat at 9. And Vucevic at 10. George.
Hey, George, go ahead.
So after 8, I have Zion at 6, Cat 7, Bam 8, Sabonis 9, Vooch 10. So kind of similar, but flipped a lot.
Okay.
I have Randall 6, Sabonis 7, Gobert 8, Towns 9, Vooch 10.
Wow, Josh is the resident Gobert hater, I guess now, huh?
Yikes.
Every guy I put in front of him knows how to play offense. I would say and defense, but Sabonis is there, so I can't really say that. But yeah.
So George, who did you leave off instead when you put A Disney on there?
Randall.
Wow, you left off Randall.
Okay.
Randall was right.
At least
Randall
I
was
put
right
Rudy
there.
Gobert in the top 10.
Josh, put your list in the chat. I'm trying to debate you.
Okay,
But-
give me a sec.
Okay, so why leave off Randall, George?
That also doesn't mean that having 80 so far ahead of him, because you all had 80 in there too. So
Nope.
We did not have AD on our list.
none of you
Neither
had
of us
80 in there.
He played
Oh,
it.
okay.
Because he has
Games.
20 games. 20
And when
games.
he played, he
Who?
was ass. He was
Hey,
horrible.
he was
He was still
Disney.
playing. He was still
He was
playing
eight.
point level defense. His offense
He
was
eight.
he was
He was still
huffing
eight
up and
Disney.
down the court, but
Let me guess. You're gonna give me advanced stats on why his defense was good. We have the number 1 defense without him. So,
and we also had it with him.
huh?
We also had it with him.
Oh, diddly dee, George. Thank
Yeah,
God
for
you-
the quarter of the season. Wow, thank goodness.
So it looks like me and Josh have the same 10, and only one that George left out was Randall for AD. So can you why AD and for Randall? I feel like I've asked you this 3 times, but how come you leaving Randall off?
I'm leaving him off because while he has been the Knicks' most important player at basically every time, the inefficiency kind of disappoints me there. I had him right outside. I was thinking when we pre-pod, when you said Vooch, I had Randall at 10, but then I took him off for Vooch because I'd rather have Vooch over him. So he's right there. It's not like I had him completely off, but I just had AD there because like we all thought he was sleepwalking and he wasn't doing what he was usually doing. But I mean, he had like 2 blocks per game. He was still playing deep boy level defense, and his offense was fine. Besides him, the whole team kind of just sleepwalking. He was still incredible, even though to our standards, he wasn't.
See, Josh and I can't really attack the game angle because we have Cat on there, and Cat's only played about 10 more games than A Disney. But I mean, Cat is he's the only option there, and AD was kind of able to sleepwalk, and we were still getting wins. Lakers still getting wins with him and without him. So that's
Cat
where I
got
kind
like
of
a triple double.
If you want to go
in
that
his
route,
second
where it's like, okay, like he can get away with it, then sure. But I mean, I'm kind of just looking at it in individual as a whole. So
Gobert 4.
Yeah,
he's gonna win. He's gonna win deep boy, man.
I don't want to attack.
Over
We'll
Zion?
go back to Gobert at 4, but you have Bam at 4, Josh.
Yeah, I do.
Want to walk
Yeah,
me through that?
Everybody continues to sleep on Bam Adebayo. He's had a phenomenal year. His stats have gone down since Jimmy's gotten back. But even like they were in the same position as the Minnesota Timberwolves, where he was like their only offensive option. I feel like he's really polished his game. And this is the same argument that we've made for like Chris Paul. His impact is so like invaluable. Like it's crazy how like important he is to that team. Like Jimmy, they roll with the way they rock how Jimmy Butler rocks. Like they go with his flow. But if Bam Adebayo wasn't playing center for the Miami Heat, holy smokes. And his stats, he's just one of those guys where it's like he has decent stats. He's averaging almost a double-double, and he has 5 assists, which is rather impressive because we don't see that too much from the centers in this category. But it's unparalleled. Like I think that his impact in watching him play, especially like when they take Jimmy Butler off, or when they have just a bunch of guys that only know how to run around and shoot threes, it's just insane how he's able to keep up, especially at his height.
Well, so you say we don't see the assists a lot. Randall, 6 assists. Bam, 5.5, like you mentioned. Sabonis, 6 assists. Like I'm glad you value Jokic, but I mean Jokic does a lot more than just
Jokic is in his own category.
And then Giannis, I'm sure, is having a lot of assists, but
3.
Really? Sheesh.
I don't think it's great.
But,
I'll look it up for you.
I think you're not, because I know you give Jimmy Butler enough credit normally, but I think you're giving him not enough credit as far as what he does to Bam, because they were not winning with just Bam. Bam has played a lot of games this year, but until Jimmy got back, they were not playing that well. And I think you give Jimmy to a lot of the players that you have ranked below Bam, and you give Karl Anthony Towns or Julius Randle, Jimmy Butler. I mean,
you didn't say you can give Cat Jimmy because Cat had Jimmy.
Yeah, exactly. So
they did make the playoffs, though. They did, but
it clicked in here. But yeah, that's where I don't. I will agree with you. I'm not going to argue. Bam is a lot more than just a stat sheet. That's why I didn't start naming off. Oh, Sabonis has more points, rebounds, and assists.
Sabonis also has a loaded team, and they're 9th, which is why I have him behind Randall.
But wait. I wasn't even going to argue Sabonis because I was fine where we put him. But he has a loaded team, but Bam doesn't.
He is Jimmy Butler. We've talked about the struggles of the Miami Heat for
and
so long.
A top 5 shooter in the league.
Who wasn't playing?
And Victor Oladipo now.
Now they just got Victor Oladipo, but for most of the year they didn't have Victor.
Why are there
Oladipo.
all these asterisks?
And we've been talking about
they traded Victor Oladipo. The Pacers did. Karis LeVert hasn't played good until the last 3 games. Brogdon's only there half the time. What
do you mean he's been there half the time? No, he's not. He's been there for.
He's been in and out of the lineup.
Turner's also been underwhelming lately. Offensively, there's games he'll score like 7 points.
Don't say underwhelming when he was Defensive Player of the Year for a good chunk.
I'm saying offensively, defensively, of course, he's deep point candidate. But anyways, do I need to explain Gobert?
Yeah, so we'll end it off with you explaining Gobert because I think we've dived enough into this. But explain Gobert.
Listen,
and me and Josh.
I know we give him the jokes, the hardy haro, the drop coverage, but I mean, come on, they're the first best record in the league. He's their defensive anchor, and we've said. You take him off that team, they're significantly worse. He's a 13 and 13 player.
Obviously, if you take anybody
over
the height of 7 foot.
Let the man speak.
Okay.
Averaging 3 blocks, and I mean, he has to be top 5 for what his team's doing record-wise. I mean, they have the best record, and that because we've had all these debates about how you take Gobert off versus you take Mitchell off. What's going to be affected more? We've said that. You take Gobert off, they're going to be worse off. So, I mean...
No, I'm Team Donovan Mitchell, actually.
No, I said that a year and a half ago, George.
What's changed? He hasn't gotten any worse.
Yes,
Donovan Mitchell's put up 40 the past 3 games.
Donovan Mitchell put up the most points in a playoff series ever, George. I know I kept him out of my top 5, but you got to hit reality.
I'm still pissed about that.
He's switching up to try and beat me. He's inconsistent.
I'm not switching up. I switched up so long ago.
I'm kind of the middleman
here. Mr. J, shout out J Sports Podcast. He sent me to the moon with that.
George has Gobert 4. I have Gobert 6. Josh has Gobert 8. I'm not just saying it because I always feel like I'm right, but I feel like he's pegged in it perfectly there at 6 because I don't see a way his value is more than the obviously top 3 guys, Zion and Randall. But I also don't see how you could put Gobert behind like Sabonis. And Sabonis is my guy, but he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, my man.
He's not. So what if he doesn't?
Then we'll get to that conversation another day.
Then he's snubbed, and it's straight up. Gobert is a top 3 defensive player in the league.
Oh, my God. gosh.
The best. I'd say he's the best rim protector unless you have Turner, but he's up there.
No, he's the best rim protector because he's so long.
And he's number 8.
And that further strengthens our argument, Joshua.
And he's
No,
number
it doesn't
8.
strengthen any argument. He's the best rim protector, but then at the same time, he's so useless on offense.
That's not true. Just
He's
loves.
he's
Loves.
the only good
Screens.
the only
I'd also
game
counter that
is
the Jazz
posterior-
really don't need him to do much offensively because they have the sharpshooters and the guys who have green lights everywhere.
Well, thank God they don't. If you dump it in Gobert at the post, he is not getting you a bucket. That's why he's not number 4. You give it to Randall, he's going to make stuff happen. You give it to Zion, he's going to make stuff happen. Give it to Gobert.
Ask
he might
Randall to
take
do
over.
what Gobert does on defense.
Who?
Ask Gobert to kick it to the corner of RJ Barrett for a game-winning 3.
So he's deferring.
Ask
They both
Gobert to
defer.
dribble the ball, George. He
All
doesn't
right.
dribble.
I try and defend Gobert once, and it goes miserably. I hate it here.
Well, yeah, everyone can defend Gobert except you on the court. He's so easy to defend. But, I mean, unless you guys have anything to add here, we're going to kick it to the what's next, George? Did you?
I thought you were going to do it because we're time crunched.
You didn't do the
No,
look.
I
Yeah.
actually have it. No, I have it. I have it.
You
want
have
me
it?
to go first?
Okay.
So this is on
Let
Tuesday, I
George go
believe.
first.
I believe it's on Tuesday. Miami versus Phoenix. I had this previously as a look ahead. I just want to see how both defenses go at each other. Jimmy Butler versus CP3. That's always a good matchup. So
Is it?
Leland, go next.
Me?
Do you not know? I'll go next if you don't have
Yeah,
it
you
yet.
go.
Okay, so while George's quote unquote super competitive game is happening, I'm going to be watching Marcus Smart put Damian Lillard in the cage. TNT 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Boston goes to Portland, faces the Trailblazers. I want to see how they handle the fact that they have one competent guard. Who's going to go off? Is it going to be Dame? Is it going to be CJ? Is Jason Tatum going to light up everybody because he's had a phenomenal weekend? We'll see if that continues. That'll be a good one. And both teams do not have a good center. I know Cantor is there, but is he?
Did you see what he put up against Mason Plumlee? 24 and 30.
Don't say Mason.
24 and 30.
I know, but he plays.
Wilt
And
the
also,
skills.
Ramadan starts on Tuesday, so we'll have to see how that affects you.
Shoot. Oh, no.
Oh, so there's 0 centers
well, my
playing
look
in
ahead-
that game.
My look at his most important game, I think, by far. Pat in the back. Kings Pelicans, 6 o'clock Monday. They're fighting for the play-in. I have to rock with the Kings just because I have all season. So I have to rock.
It's not on TNT.
I have to. It's not on TNT.
Okay.
Kings on a 6-game losing streak. Pelicans on a 2-game winning streak. 5-5 the last 10. I mean, Pelicans 1 game of the play-in. Sacramento 3 games in the play-in. Sacramento loses here. Might be time to call it a season up in Sacktown.
it's
but
already been a season as long as Luke
No.
Walton is their head coach. We should have called it a while ago.
the Pelicans are going to sell it, and the Kings are on a 6-game losing streak. You know what that means? This is the beginning of a 5-game winning streak. That's
So
how-
if they go on a
that's
5
how it
game
happens.
and then go on another one, so they're going to end on a losing streak.
Show.
How many games are left?
I didn't
George,
pass my
don't
time
count. Don't count. We're time crunched.
He
We
ran
don't
out of
need you to
fingers,
count.
guys. He ran out of fingers. Oh God. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for tonight's episode. Thanks for watching or listeing. Make sure you catch us on YouTube. We're on StreamYard now, so there's this little cool logo in the corner. You can see George wearing his UCLA shirt, even though they did lose. But Instagram,
At least
Twitter,
Gonzaga didn't win.
you know the vibes. You got a response because George never caught lack without his phone. Once again, on his phone during the outro. But
Streaks.
again, thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for being an OG, and take care.